Hello, this is the session 0 of Changeling the Lost. I almost called it Changeling the Apocalypse. Changeling the Lost, 2nd edition, which is part of the Chronicles of Darkness series with a homebrew of slapping World of Darkness in, and that takes a few books to do. Introduce yourselves.
I mean, in which regard?
Uh, Person first, character second.
Hello, I am me, and this is him.
It's great.
Flawless introduction.
Changeling a few words, I suppose.
I mean, you can't fault it. I am me, and he is him. No, I am Dusk. I do variety shenanigans, and you probably know me from being the one and only Grub Lord. And I am currently playing Wolfgang, who was under the employment, as his benefactor would like to refer it, of one miser, someone who likes weighing people's worth, and a lot of those morals have been adopted by Wolfgang. He's a relatively slim build, average height. Like, physically, there's nothing really going on with him. He looks like he stepped out of a noir novel, and that was where it just dumped him. Just simple dress shoes, simple dress pants. His shirt has just slight embossing on it. Carries a simple gun at his hip and a cane by his side. Not quite messy, but slightly unkempt grey hair, and an off-color lavender for just these eyes that seem to not so much seem restless, but wary, vigilant. Which, if the minor scouring on his face is any indication, he has good reason to.
I mean, we all have good reason to be wary now
Yeah.
after the shit we went through. But yeah, I'm Gamma. You've seen me on the chat before, many channels. And I'm playing Dirk. He's a former Garou kinfolk who was stolen, changed, and forced to fight in an arena as a mockery of a werewolf. And, escaped, didn't really know what to do with himself other than just to keep running, ended up here. Now he's just looking to keep other folks from going through the same shit he did. Simple guy, solves problems with his fists. You know, help you move if you need to. You know, that sort of thing.
He's the kind of friend that'll help you move the couch.
Yeah.
He introduces himself with his fists.
Not introduces himself with his fists, but solves problems with them. So don't be a problem.
So you're the step behind one, Joryu-san.
Yeah. But yeah, so he just needs a direction to aim himself, someone to help. You know, paranormal A-team sort of thing.
And that is what might be coming today.
Perhaps.
So, for a while, they have been sitting here, both of you. Dirk, you know that you very likely do not have an identity yet, or rather, like, you don't have a birth certificate, an ID, and all the other legal documents that are kind of needed. And you were told you should be getting it today. And Wolfgang, you were told that, you have been hired to assist with something, but they can't talk about it over the phone. Not very uncommon in your line of work, admittedly. And with that, the office door opens, and you see someone kind of step out and wave both of you in.
Well, Wolfgang will rise himself out of his seat, and he's just gonna move straight in, and
I'm just gonna follow.
he's just gonna take himself a seat.
And as a side
Same.
note, I don't think that his glowy hand is disappearing. I think it's moving off screen. Let me. Yeah, see? It's just moving off screen. So, as you go and sit down, you see a person you can immediately recognize, kind of almost a feeling of not evil, not to be confused with evil, but darkness around this person. And, Dirk, you kind of you already know that she's the person who runs this place. And like she gives you a folder, the good old manila folder that you know that's your documentation.
All right.
And she looks at both of you and like, all right, well, one of you knows, that one of you is good at the kind of work that I need done, and another one of you is very new to this entire sort of thing, and we need to be very cautious with the steps that we are going to be taking.
So what you're telling me is I'm about to be a handler.
Well, the good thing is Mr. Sanderson has not caused any problems, so you shouldn't need to be a handler as much as, I suppose, to people on the outside looking in, a handler. We need an investigator.
So you need someone to watch over me while I work.
We need someone who can work discreetly and a reason that they would be in this town. And
Fair enough, I suppose.
and I think you would understand when I say our kind, while we can move around alone, sometimes it's better in numbers, and I don't know if this investigation will require muscle.
So why have me on it at all then?
Because if it requires muscle, it will require muscle.
All right.
I suppose I should say it's not a. I don't know if it will require muscle, as in, it might not, but rather, this situation is quite delicate and it very likely will at some point. considering I'm pretty sure there have already been casualties.
All right, so who's this other guy? What's he going to be doing?
From what my sources have said, he's an investigator and can work well with the supernatural knowledge of the changelings. She looks at you, Wolfgang, as if, like, confirming this information.
Yeah, I guess you can say that the occult has become more my purview with the length of my investigations. It has led to more lucrative pursuits. And there's been no shortage of work when it comes to dealing with more delicate matters. The biggest problem is the fact that, I mean, as you can see, I'm no huge McStrongman that you'll pull out of the labor mills. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. My strengths are collecting information, and where they're not, I'm not going to say no to an extra pair of hands.
All right. Well, that's fair enough, I suppose. Just point me at what you need to break, and I'll break it. But just know I'm not very good at subtlety.
That's
Well,
perfectly fine.
the lack of subtlety will hopefully not be an issue. It's not so much we need you to be subtle the entire way through. I'm going to be blunt. While everyone in this building currently is, I know that they're not the person doing it. Someone in my faction has been selling out other people in my faction, and some of us have been going missing. And I don't like that. And what better way to figure out who it is than someone from the outside and someone who is new? Because you're going to be naturally stepping on a few toes. It only makes sense because they're probably expecting me to pick someone who I trust and not what they would think of as random people.
I guess out of the frying pan into the fire. That fine by me.
I mean,
Do
if
you
it's
have
any
a
consolation,
place to
because
start?
they're not. Well, the thing is because this is not the first time I've had to deal with this sort of thing. Because they're not looking at us specifically, it makes us a little more free to move. Think of it this way. When you're looking at, well, say for argument's sake, a group of people, what stands out more, the man in the uniform or the hobo on the side of the street?
Precisely. And it is not uncommon for us to ask for outside help with people who are similar to each other to kind of teach the ropes to a newer person. Because, Mr. Sanderson, I'm sure you'll understand, you will need to be acclimated back into normal society.
I've been through the whole understanding a secret society thing before, so
Oh, sure.
just get to do it all over again, I suppose.
Yes, and on the plus side, your previous allies, shall we say, one of the members has offered his assistance. Your, I suppose, I forget the word that they use for themselves, but the local group has also, they have offered some assistance, especially after finding out what you are. We did not know what a kinfolk was. And apparently they did.
Yeah, we like to keep it that way, but there's a
Yes.
pack in the area. It's good news.
There's
Use the
several
help.
packs in the area.
Well, we could use the help, and if it's sniffing out a traitor, then no better nose to ask for than the Garou.
Well, from the knowledge that they have given us, the traitor has been selling our people to one of your enemies, which is why they're willing to help us so easily.
Well, the more reason we should get moving on this then.
Indeed. And I'm sure, very likely, you know how hard it is to capture one of our people. So I'm sure you understand. It's hard to capture us while alive, and if for some reason you are captured, you can portal your way out any way you want, and I will make sure that we cover it up.
So don't get taken. Not again.
Exactly.
enough.
And if you can help it, don't let other people get taken.
Oh, that ain't happening on my watch.
And from what I've heard, at least, and what I'm hoping, is that both of you will be able to work fairly discreetly enough to get at least information on who it is. I know for certain it is no one who is currently in this building, which is why I chose this time. It's kind of a busy day outside of the building, and the people who are currently here is me, my guard, both of you, the beast, and a fairest outside, our janitor, and our crafter. Although I do hope that you understand when I say don't discuss this with anyone, not even them. I do simply mean it because she kind of like tilts her head back a bit, thinking, some of us are able to change our means. Or, I'm sorry, our masks. And if we're able to change our masks, someone might be trying to disguise themselves as another person. I don't know who this person is, or what their end goal is, or their true capabilities, but I want to find out who they are. Do you have any questions or comments?
So is all that good for you, Wolfgang? Understand what we gotta do?
It's not, again, it's nothing that's out of the ordinary. I'm sure I can put some feelers out in my own networks to see if they've heard of anything that's been going on, but no, this is fine. Like, we know that the most important thing that we are going to be able to use is the fact that it's supposedly an inside job, which makes it so much easier. Because if we do the simple thing and we backtrace things, think of what can and might cause people to lower their guards in such a manner that people going missing becomes a common occurrence, that'll be where we first get our answers.
Yes, and we do have information that heavily implies it was an inside job, that it was someone who works for us.
Now the question is now is it carrying favor for another court or for someone else entirely? Because there's no saying that it's not larger than just this instance here. We could be looking at it happening in other avenues as well.
I wouldn't doubt that it's happening in other avenues. I mean, I'll be honest, the werewolves gave me the information, and to them it's always the apocalypse, so
Because it is.
she looks at you and just kind of gestures like, and there you have it. And I'll be honest, a lot of them will be like, "Oh, this person's, from this tribe. They're from a tribe that's very helpful, and they are the least helpful person ever." And they will point at another and be like, "That one's, a cannibal from a whatever tribe." And they just they talk to me and they're like, "Well, if you're not stopping to save a rose, are you really going to save the garden?" And it's like, I'm just the werewolves have weird politics, and I hope that both of you can get along with any of the ones who will be working with you. We have one who did say, essentially, one of their groups wanted to meet you specifically. She gestures to Dirk.
Me? Why me?
Because of
Insurance?
your lineage.
I guess that makes sense.
To put it simply, this werewolf doesn't quite dislike the kind of creature you've become, although he's got a bit of looser lips than I think that your people would like. He said he was an Awu, so don't be upset if he gets angry. Because he was very angry when he found out that not only were you were kidnapped by a fae.
I see. Well,
But
it'll be a interesting meeting, but I'm sure we have other pressing concerns at the moment.
the thing is, and she kind of tries to figure out how to. The people who are getting the bodies, because I'm pretty sure they're killing the changelings when grabbing them. I'll be honest, it's Pentex, and you probably already know who that is. And she looks at Wolfgang, and a lot of the rumors about them are true. So, I suppose, I don't know if you know who Pentex is, Dusk.
Not off the top of my head, no.
Think of them kind of like a megacorp, not unlike, say, Tencent, where, they're kind of really big, too big for their britches, and there's a lot of conspiracies about them. Well, in this universe, those conspiracies are true.
Imagine if, Warren Buffett owned pretty much half the corporations out there and turned out to be an evil person.
What do you mean turned out to be?
Exactly. The idea is if it's a corporation that's doing something evil in the world of darkness, it's probably Pentex.
Yeah.
That makes it all the easier.
Yeah.
Let me just go knock on the front door and ask them all polite, like.
I wouldn't.
Good luck with that.
I mean, they would
That's
like
never
that.
gone poorly.
They would like that, and no one else would. But now you see why the guru are so eager, she says, kind of like, you can tell that it was a bit of a struggle to get some of them to help. Why they were so eager to help us, because our people disappearing and turning into research for their enemies is not good for them. Or, the apocalypse.
Generally not.
And I will note the werewolf who has offered to help. I'm just gonna say this, he can be a jerk, but he is nice. Do understand that while he is a nice jerk, once he likes you, he becomes a bigger jerk. That's just how he is.
Sounds like half the Garou I knew before.
Yeah.
Sounds just like modern society at this point.
True enough.
So, other than that, we have a car that you can use, Dirk. I don't know if you drive, Wolfgang, but we were able to get you a driver's license, Dirk, and insurance for a car that we will be loaning you. It's kind of general stuff for when we bring our people out from the nonsense that is the hedge and bring them back into society. Usually we give them an offer if they want to lead a normal, normal, she air quotes, life, or if they want to try and, protect, protect our people. How you answered the questions that Carolyn asked, I get a strong feeling that you're wanting to help.
Well, if I can, why not?
And
Who
of
else is
course,
gonna?
both of you will be compensated for this. If either of you need any resources, any weapons, anything really, let me know and I will see what strings I can pull. And other than that, I suppose
Ours is a good place to start, but got a list of names to check into, somewhere we should begin.
I'm trying to put together a list of names. It isn't exactly easy to put together a list of names when I'm sure you understand our documentations. I don't want to make it easy for someone to say, waltz into the building, grab a list, and get all of our names and numbers. So we usually have a bit of a rigmarole to go through, and I will for sure give you a list. But sadly, I tried to move as quickly as I could to handle this and nip this in the bud, which is why I was able to get both of you here in the first place. And hopefully, maybe at some point, some others will be able to assist you. But for now, I can only offer you my assistance, Rufus, and she points to her guard, Carolyn, Jeremy, all them. We can do our best to help you get information, but until I can get you a list of names, which yes, I will be doing.
You don't have any locations that someone has been abducted from.
The problem is we have paths that we believe they were taking. I'm going to be honest, we don't usually track our people. So it's usually like word of mouth, like, oh, I'm going to, I'm going from my house to the store, and they disappear. And we have traced all sorts of roads to and from. If we ever find a site that we believe the abduction happened, I will make sure to let you know. We have some people.
Give me, if you have paths that they take, give me a map. Give me some paths of just some of the high traffic areas and low traffic areas.
Yes.
That'll be a start.
Yes, I will make sure. Carolyn has a map that she can give you. She has been trying to figure out. She kind of like thinks a bit. Carolyn was trying to find a pattern. If there was any specific location like that seemed the most dangerous, or like if there was any direction that it seemed to be. She can't find anything, but well, you're the investigator, and I will make sure that she's able to get you either her map or a copy of her map. We'll have to do it discreetly, so it might be just a little bit before I can get it to you. It will probably be very early tomorrow, but
Oh, by all means, take all the time you need.
I would rather not.
Look, if they're dead, you're not saving them. And an extra day or two is not going to change the fate of anyone else that is about to be grabbed.
That is true. I just want to stop it before any more happen.
By taking the time to ensure that I get all the information that I can get out of it, you will save more people than by rushing it.
This is correct, and I will be
I cannot
working.
emphasize that enough.
I do agree.
I can appreciate the idea of doing something the right way rather than the quick way.
Which is why you're much more than just muscle. She says, kind of like, you can tell that she has been told, like from that sentence, she has been told many times that ogres are just muscle, and she's like, no.
We have a couple of avenues that we can look at anyway at the moment. We have the friendly neighborhood individual that wants to meet Mr. Sanderson, and it won't hurt for us to just look around, talk to your people, talk to his people, and just strike up an idle conversation.
Something I will warn you about, his people. Dirk probably already knows this. Some of the higher ups of his people are incredibly. You can tell she's trying to think of a nice way to put it. Unhelpful.
Yeah, they don't like outsiders so much.
Yeah.
Might take a bit to arrange a meeting.
And usually we have to work with the lower ranking members because they're much more interested in the whole wait, werewolves are real, because yeah, it becomes a lot more interesting to them when they're like, oh, this stuff is all real. And as they get older and usually more jaded, they're like, yeah, I don't care anymore.
Mm.
However, that is also why I was happy that this individual was willing to help. And he said that one of the higher ups was offering to cover for him to come over here and do a quick talk. Because if you're able to and allowed to go over there, you can discuss the investigation more freely. Because their people would kill whoever is doing this. They,
I like him already.
yeah, the werewolves don't actually fuck around at all. They are very. They have entire rituals for how they are going to execute someone for, I won't say bringing shame, but for showing that they are betraying. And whoever is doing this, considering they are working with who the Garou consider to be a very big enemy, that is at the nicest point in execution, because at least you get to keep some dignity in their eyes.
Again, we appreciate doing things the right way. That means taking a few extra steps, doing some rituals, and talking to spirits. So be it, but someone's got to do the hard work.
Yes. And that is why I wanted both of you in on this. The
All right.
the
So buddy
Garou,
cops it is.
yeah, and I should note, because you've been out of the loop for about a decade, Dirk, the Garou are kind of disheveled right now. Apparently, something big happened, and uh, they said that the werewolf who was coming by said that the litany is being changed, and metis are no longer a thing. And she kind of
Something
just
big must happen indeed. Then
she kind of like shrugs her shoulders like, I have no idea what the hell this is all about, but whatever.
no, the nation can never agree on anything anyway. So no real big surprise there. Just more political drama between the tribes.
Yes, that is what he said. If the werewolves had any real issue, it's not that they party, it's not that they drink, it's not that they have rituals and rites, it's that everyone has their own way of doing it, and no one wants to accept that people are different.
All right. Well, if Wolfgang here is all set, then guess we start with where they last were.
Well, that's probably best left till tomorrow when we have the map of their routes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll just make that little bit easier. I mean, we can certainly keep an eye out when we're moving around, but without a full list of suspected routes and being able to track down where and working out the amount of traffic going through areas, because the problem is they're going to need somewhere low traffic to manage any of this if it's being done out in the open. And
Yes.
that'd be the only common thread between any of these abductions. It'll be somewhere out in the open, and it'll be somewhere low traffic. There's probably a few spots that are being hit, but the point remains is that it will be somewhere low traffic. The only recommendation I can make is, and this is more for everyone else's safety, if people need to get out and about, change routes. Make sure they stick to high traffic areas. Otherwise, it's going to be more of the same story.
That is what I have been doing. They know that I know that this is happening. They don't know that I know it's someone inside.
You hope that they don't know.
I'm almost sure that they don't. But while it is highly unlikely, you are correct. There is a chance that they do. But the information that I got is from an outside source who got this information from someone who can no longer tell anything about this information. As said before, werewolves tend to not fuck around, as Dirk said. And yes, one of the good things is that a lot of these locations tend to go around stores. You can disguise the investigation as going shopping because, well, Dirk hasn't stepped outside in a good decade or so. And it is not suspicious at all for someone to say, be able to go outside and go and buy some clothes or basic appliances. And if we're disguising an investigation as just casual shopping, that's perfectly fine. You can, of course.
Pretty much just go places where Pentex does their business and pretend we're shopping.
Not
Well,
even pretend to make sure that there is some manner of coinage, no matter how little, changing hands.
yes, and we can give cash and or credit under real or fake names. It's all up to you. We have avenues to do this. Don't worry about it. I'm sure that both of you are familiar with this entire line of work, be it that Dirk has worked with the Garou and Wolfgang, you have worked with us. Well, our people. She says, gesturing to like the entire room because, well, Dirk is a changeling.
Still doesn't feel right.
No, but we're at least allies. I feel like the group of us, all of us, at least those in this building, all have the same kind of goal in mind, which is very important in any kind of work where blood becomes a currency, be it figuratively or literally.
I suppose we're not going to get any extra, extra if we keep sitting here.
I've mostly been trying to buy time for Beat to arrive. He should be arriving at some point. She says, like, kind of looking around like, he's not usually late. Although you do hear a bit of stomping around, like, one of the rooms. Not exactly someone upset, but as someone who is upset trying to be someone who is not upset.
Pacing and failing.
Kind of.
Someone's trying to wear a hole in the floor.
And you hear a knock on the door, and Rufus, the guard, kind of like just stands there to open the door. I think that's him. It sounds like him. And in comes a person who he looks like he's American, of Irish descent, and just kind of looks at both of you. All right, so I hear one of you is related to one of the tribes.
That'd be me. Gonna get up and turn around and look at him.
He like holds his hand out and just kind of. I do want to ask which tribe are you related to?
The Striders. I'm assuming you're Fiona.
He nods. Yeah, Fiona, Arun. With no offense to any of the Striders, keep it to yourself when at the cairn. Some of the elders don't like them. I couldn't give a shit. If you're here to help, you're here to help. They can bicker about their bullshit politics wherever they want.
I hear that. Sounds like you and I are on the same page about them anyway.
Yeah. He kind of like, you can tell that there's a bit of a sadness to his anger, and that he's hiding his sadness with, in werewolf fashion, more anger. To you, Wolfgang, if you've never met a werewolf before, the fact you're a changeling, you're a bit in tune with people's emotions. He is angry. It is a supernatural anger.
What's your magic power? Mine is rage.
Yeah.
It's rage.
that welcome to werewolves. They get two stats, gnosis and rage. Instead of weird, they get rage. They use rage to heal themselves and to change forms faster. He he looks at both of you. I suppose I should introduce myself. I'm Beats Like Drum. You can guess how I got that name. Part of what was a silver pack until earlier this week. And the elders are not very happy about how my pack acted.
Rightly so, but it's good to meet you anyway. Take his hand and shake it.
You can tell he's holding back, like accidentally crushing your hand. Like he's in his mind is like, oh, I don't want to actually, crush your hand, but you being as strong as you are, know how strong he is.
Game understands game, I guess.
Yeah. You know what an Arun is, and you know he is definitely an Arun. To you, Wolfgang, you can tell this man is swole. He is what you would think. If you were told that is a werewolf, you would have no doubt. Yeah, that's a werewolf. Okay.
I mean, let's be fair. Anyone compared to Wolfgang is swole.
Yeah. So, with that, Beats kind of. So, do either of you have any cars or any means of transportation, and do you need any assistance? He says as he's like fishing into his pocket to pull out a piece of paper.
We've apparently got a vehicle. Don't know if it's serviceable or not, but yeah, we've got a job to do.
Claire like kind of thinks a little bit on that. If the car does not turn on anything, do let me know. I will make sure that it works. We have plenty of crafters who would love nothing more than something to work on.
Good to know.
See,
Last time the
from
car didn't
where
start,
I'm,
a space stole me.
from where I'm standing, that sounds like you've got free reign to trash the thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you already. Quite adept at breaking things, even if by accident.
Yeah. With that, Beats Like Drum or beats, hands you a piece of paper. It is simply like an invitation to go golfing at a golf course. And there is just like a little VIP written on it. And he's just looks at you. Don't ask. It used to be a cairn. They built a golf course on it. We took it back. It's still a cairn, disguised as a golf course. You can tell, you can feel a bit of seething anger off of that. He's like, we had to work with the glasswalkers to fix that up. And some of the elders are still upset about that, but I couldn't care. If they're going to help us, then why are we upset at them?
I guess you got to make do down here in America, but sure, I guess whatever works.
He hears that, and it's like something clicks inside of him. Right, you're a Strider. Where are you from, then?
From Canada, actually, in Edmonton.
He nods. I don't know where that is, but I do know where Canada is. I don't think you're going to get too much of a culture shock, I hope. He looks at Wolfgang, and where are you from?
You know, it's been so long I've forgotten.
That is fair.
Yep, man of mystery over there.
He shrugs. I think we're all people of mystery right now.
Fair.
Look, some stones are better left unturned. That's all it is.
Yeah. And sorry it took so long. Apparently, someone out there was, they knew what I was the moment that I walked up, and I don't think I've been fanboyed over like that before. Apparently, one of your almost werewolf changelings was excited to meet a real werewolf. Felt a little sad to tell him, no, you do not want to see me in my murder machine form because my emotions are a lot less controlled like that.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of you up close in Krynos before, and yeah, can stay about 25 feet away. Not form for now.
Yeah. He says as if, like, thinking about it. Right. I am glad to speak to someone who is kinfolk and not inside of the cairn. I love my people as much as you would imagine, but I get so sick and tired of them.
Yeah, the politics are the least favorite thing when I was up at mine.
Well, you'll feel right at home. Speaking of, if you have any guru that you want to be in contact with, we haven't told any of the others just in case it would bring up any bad blood. But if you do want to get into contact with anyone, let us know, and I'll be sure that at the very least you'll be able to get information.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to look up someone for me if you can once this is all settled. But for now, that can wait. We've got people going missing. Got to find them.
Yeah. He like tries to find a piece of paper and like just kind of scribbles a phone number on it. By the way, do not let any of any of the folk around home know. This number, if things become too tough, call it, tell him to go there, and then hang up the phone and he'll call you back and just, I don't care, throw your phone at the enemy. He knows what to do. The people at the golf course would not want me to team up with him, but we're all fighting the same fight. I don't see what the fucking point is. You can tell that he is a mix of he is so pissed, he's almost trying to hide being pissed as being apathetic.
Yeah, if only we had about a few thousand of you a couple years back. Maybe this fight would have been going differently, but here we are.
If only we had a few thousand of us right now.
Fair enough.
And I suppose as another thing to add under the belt of don't tell people, do know the cairn at the golf course, one of the elders is a shadow lord. His son, a Philodox, died recently, and so he will be in a very sour mood.
Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, it's
Good
not
to know.
easy for a werewolf to lose their kid who is also a werewolf. I'm sure you understand. That is very rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't possibly, not feel that.
Yeah. I'm sure that his pack feels it as well. You can tell that it very likely was a member of his pack. Just from his mannerisms of oh God.
Yeah.
But yes, I suppose if any of you need anything, and especially one of the elders is pulling strings, you are allowed to stay at the cairn. We managed to also allow anyone who is working directly with you, he looks at Wolfgang, you are also allowed to stay with us. I will warn you, it is not very comfortable. It is mostly tense and yeah. And I'm pretty sure that whatever Claire has set up for you is better, but we do parties occasionally, and I suppose no better time to party than at a party. He says, kind of you can tell he was going to say something else, and he's just like, no, I don't want to say that, and just kind of shrugs it off.
Well, I appreciate the invite. I think I'm going to give it a pass.
He nods
Nah,
at
I'm
that.
sure you'll fit right in.
He nods.
Just kind of laugh at it. Just
Wise. It's as much as I, once again, love my people. I really, really have been happy that I got somewhere to stay that isn't directly there.
yeah. I think our accommodations here will probably be good for now. But
Claire, who you can tell is like going through documentations and stuff, is like, if you need an apartment, we do have several of those. If you guys want to have a 2-bedroom apartment or 2 separate studio apartments, we have a lot of vacancies now.
Well, I'm already covered in that regard, but I'm sure that Dirk here could make use of one.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
hate
not a
for him to step on something delicate.
yeah, that is a concern. I wouldn't want to break anything of yours by accident, but it's more so the community you live in. Well, while I'm used to it, it's not quite the community I'm used to. I'm sure over time it'll become easier to adjust, but for now, I guess I'll just make do. More important things and all.
Claire nods at that. Of course, if you need anything, just let us know. We have resources and they are at anyone's disposal as long as they aren't going to abuse it. Beats finally like takes a step back and is just like, you can tell that he's ready to leave. Like he doesn't know what to talk about. He's like, okay, and I will see about getting the letter that we found, rather the information that we found. I'll see about getting a copy of it to both of you, since from what I understand, you'll be handling some werewolf matters. He says as if like he was going to start saying something else, and Claire just kind of nods. Yes, they're handling the investigation. And yes, please do give them the note that you had found, because him and his people are the ones who found the information that we're using to figure out it's one of us.
Then maybe you can help our investigator here and give him some details if you got any of them, other than the letter, of course. But you know, he's supposedly done this sort of thing before.
Beat
Tell you what, Wolfgang will reach into his pocket and he'll pull out a business card and just hand it to Beats. Anything that you need to send to me, just send there. I'll handle it all at my office.
He nods and looks at the business card. All right, understood. Just do be careful. And the phone number that I gave you, if you call it, don't call it for a prank or anything. Because if you call that number and tell them to come, you are going to have a very angry werewolf coming out of your phone. And if you don't have a target, you are a target. I'm just going to say that. Don't call him without needing him.
Good to know. We'll definitely keep that in mind.
He kind of nods. He's like, he isn't sure if you know exactly what he's talking about, but he's sure that you at least have an idea of what he is talking about.
Yeah, Dirk doesn't exactly know about that, but he's seen some other shit from the werewolves, so he sort of gets something wonky would happen if he calls.
Call the phone, and then all of a sudden, a werewolf pops in out of nowhere. That is typical werewolf behavior. He kind
Yeah,
of,
not for his cairn.
well, popping in out of nowhere is normal werewolf behavior. Popping in out of a phone is glasswalker behavior.
That's fair enough.
And I suppose I will be looking around for information. I've kind of been put on the shun list for the cairn, so I'm able to do whatever I want, and it is as agonizing as you would imagine. Being essentially treated like you're not good enough because you made one decision that got one person killed instead of 5. And it wasn't even me who decided to get that one person killed.
Never rightly agreed with the rules in that regard myself, but you know, gotta live with it, I suppose.
Yeah, so I suppose if you do need anything, call me and I will see about going to wherever you need. If you need me to handle my side of an investigation, I might be an Arun, but I'm not stupid. And I suppose I am going to go see if Walks needs any help from me. So I should be leaving.
Yeah, well, we need to get the big man here some clothes, so that'll be our next protocol.
Of course. With that, he kind of just walks through and leaves. Like, kind of nonchalantly waved his hand, like, goodbye, but kind of, like, hurried off. Like, he is upset, but he's also a werewolf. That's kind of par for the course.
I think that is the most reserved Auron I've ever seen.
Claire just kind of, yeah, you should have seen him last week. He was much more party. He was a lot angrier. From what I heard, they said that the only reason that his punishment is being alleviated a bit is because it was hurting him too bad. And to me, that I don't understand the punishment myself. Shunning is perhaps one of the worst things you can do to someone. So she's like, you can tell that she's trying to remember a word that makes no sense to her. From what he said, one of the elders, the one that's working with him, said he was borderline Harano. And so he was sent out to try and make him a bit less mopey.
Just gonna tap on Wolfgang's shoulder and be like, that's werewolf depression, by the way.
It's werewolf depression. The sad.
Right.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that Wolfgang, you will fit right in with the werewolves, considering your name and your seeming. She says, kind of like thinking a bit, I'm sure you've already figured out what I am. Supposedly a mistress of gathering information and working in the dark, and my bodyguard is an animal. And if she kind of like, you can tell she's like going through documents, like she had been caught just a little bit off guard by the entire situation and is trying to get as much information as she can together. And if you need specific assistance, the person outside with the hat, she looks like a Barbie doll. She is very much good with, I wouldn't say getting information out of people, but helping work information from people. You met her, Dirk. You know that she's talking about the person who talked to you before.
Yeah.
And the person out there with white hair who probably was the one who distracted Beats for a bit, he is able to enter people's dreams. He's kind of a stickler on it. He does not like doing it without permission. To him, it's like a therapeutic thing. But if you need to enter someone's dreams, understand that first and foremost, if you enter someone's dreams, it's going to be very hard to remain discreet. You can, but if you're not built for dream travel, it's not going to be very easy. And I do ask that you treat whatever you see in someone's dreams as something respectful because it is someone's thoughts.
As long as they stay out of my dreams, I'm fine with staying out of theirs. Simple enough.
Yeah. And Jeremy doesn't like entering people's dreams without permission, so you don't have to worry about that. He's good with other things as well. He is not bad at fighting, but I'm hoping we can do this without raising alarms, and fighting will be raising alarms.
Like I said, I'm not good at much else, but I'll try. No promises. It won't break anything.
I'll also certainly keep in mind that they're able to help. I'm quite handy in wringing answers out of people myself, so we'll see where our investigations end up.
And don't worry, Mr. Sanderson. An ogre accidentally breaking things is par for the course. That is not raising any alarms. And even like getting into a scuffle isn't going to be raising alarms. What would be is, well, I'm sure you can use your imagination on when alarms would be raised. Because an ogre and a beast going and buying clothes, and the ogre being new to the city, looking around and all that, isn't exactly worthy of raising suspicion. It's when other things start happening. And I'm sure that at the very least, Wolfgang, you understand investigations. You'll be able to help lead and guide him along those lines. And I really don't want to say things like, lethal force is allowed or whatever, but if someone comes at you with a knife, you are allowed to defend yourself, and that is all I will say with that. Try not to make it hard on me, but a funeral is harder than, hiding what happened.
All right. Well, I mean, just I guess we can just try to not leave a body behind, and that's all we can really ask for.
I mean,
Yes,
if they're so generous to drop someone in our lap that's willing to come at us, that'll make our job so much easier.
Definitely
yeah.
make it more exciting.
I
Not
mean,
that excitement is the point.
Loose lips sink ships. And
Yeah.
generally, the first idiot that they throw at you is someone that they expect to end up in a body bag rather than a chair.
Yes, and that would very much be very helpful. The werewolves beat specifically already apologized that there were no lips capable of moving when they discovered that information.
That's pretty much how they operate.
Yeah, lethal efficiency. Not always the best, but definitely not the worst. I'd rather people that move than people who I'm not gonna hide that I don't care much for your elders, Dirk.
I don't care much for him either.
Yeah.
Again, politics and all.
Yeah.
But if Wolfgang here can ask the questions, I'm perfectly fine to hold someone down so they can answer.
And I am perfectly fine with providing facilities if you need any. We have a warehouse, and so items come and go from us a lot. We ship items to people, and businesses ship items to us. That is, of course, what we are to the mundane world.
I will definitely keep that in mind. Think of your help. And he's going to, not that he needs the aid of his cane, but just more force of habit. He's going to use the cane to like lift himself out of the chair, and he's going to make his way toward the door. Come on, Dirk. You've got uses for me at the moment, and you also need to get reintegrated.
It's time to go
I
shopping.
I can't say that I envy you.
Why is that?
Having already done it myself, it's not fun giving up what you're used to in order to fit in with. Now, it was this way that was the way out, yes?
Yep. You're heading the right way. It's to go down the stairs.
Sometimes it's easier to reintegrate than,
Let's see. Can I drag the watcher to the. Do I? Let's see. Oh, I think I can activate this.
I'm not in the void anymore. Huzzah!
Okay.
But yeah, reintegration's never really been a problem because being kinfolk, I've always been sort of relegated to the outskirts as is. So this will be a first. But you're the expert on this, so I'll trust your lead.
I wouldn't say that I'm so much an expert. It's just I'm sure they had their hands greased in such a manner to end up with me on the job. That's usually how it goes.
And perhaps suspiciously, there is no receptionist, although it seems like there should. Like, Dirk, you are used to there being quite a bit more people, but you do know that some days there's very few people around.
Oh, that's interesting. There's usually someone at the front door. Maybe it's lunchtime or something. Could be nothing.
I wouldn't worry about it too much. That's not something that we're paid to worry about, at least not at the moment.
That is the end of the map.
Joke's on you. Haha.
The joke's on me. Oh no, he's moving through the trees. I think we can call a break there if people want.
Yeah, if you so wish.
That sounds good.
And I will figure out what to do for the second half. this took a lot less time than I was expecting. I was expecting that to be the whole session, if I'm honest.
I mean, it's not bad for a session 0.
When you give cut and when you give cut and dry answers to someone that is a cut and dry individual and someone that's only looking for cut and dry answers, makes it very easy.
That is very true. It sets up what the story is, sets up some of the allies, sets up, like, I need to come up with a list of suspects as well as who it is, while making sure it isn't obvious, but also making sure it isn't impossible.
The butler did it.
It's always the butler.
Oh no.
See, buddy cops saved the day. We
From the
solved the
butler.
mystery.
It was the butler. So I suppose I will leave it up to the two of you if you want to call that the session 0 or if you want to call it a break.
I mean, if you don't have like much else prepared, I'm like an hour and a half of session 0 is perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
then-
that's how it was for me 10 years ago. Last time I actually did tabletop stuff.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Akan's session 0 in regard to his Curse of Stride campaign was about 15 minutes long, and that constituted a phone call while I was walking to work. So, like an hour and a half